Hey, it's me, Kaki.
And Kay, and
Today's episode involves, it's a tricky one. It features a scene in which character contemplates and actually performs self-harm, suicide, though this is purely in a fictional sense, but if that's something that you're sensitive to, this may be one to skip.
Prepare to starboard!
hello and welcome to Tales of the Uncharted Territories.
I'm your host, Kaki, and this is my friend Kay. And in between sort of discussing episodes of Farscape, we're coming at you again with another Farscape fanfic.
Yes, this one is another one by Pellucid.
Oh, and also submitted by Mysterytour 7.
Well, here we go.
Yeah.
We're having a glut. So the story is called 5 Things That Never Happened to Xhalax Sun. Spoilers through 317 The Choice, and it was written in August 2006. Better by Dances with Words.
Yeah, I know that The Choice is a hugely important episode. I've heard from Farscape listeners for whom The Choice was their first episode of Farscape. Right? Imagine coming in on The Choice and then going back to the beginning and seeing that.
That's
right?
quite the development, yes.
Right?
I mean, it's like, it's one of those episodes that is like, well, it is very Farscape, but it's also very not Farscape.
Right, which in turn is very Farscape. So yeah, I'm not surprised that there have been tons and tons of fantastic fan fictions being written, even years after the episode aired. And thank you so much to Mysterytour 7 for contributing some of their favorites.
5 Things That Never Happened to Xhalax Sun.
1.
She doesn't remember meeting Talin Lechak. He was just another member of her regiment, had always been there, just another pilot.
Oh, okay, so a different continuity. It's the same author as the prior one, but in this one... Oh, no, they're talking about
Talin,
the actual
yes.
Talin.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. She recalls the first time they recreated, but it doesn't stand out as memorable. A Xhalax-soaked party, the aftermath of a successful campaign, flirting that ended in his quarters. I almost read that as flirting that ended in his hindquarters. So, interesting things that they're into. It wasn't great, but good enough that they tried again, sober, and then again, and again.
He's become a habit, and she catches herself seeking him out, missing him when he's absent.
No.
She lingers in his bed for no particular reason other than they both want to be there. She knows his body by sight and touch, each thin, muscular limb, the large scar across his abdomen from the quarter blade of an angry Luxon, the smaller scar on his left thigh from the time he got so intoxicated he fell down the stairs, eyes the colour of the sea on Halora May that soften and smile when they rest on her face.
Oh, he sounds dreamy. Once, several cycles ago, she almost crashed her prowler, caught in a planet storm, gravity and atmosphere overcoming her skill. She lost control, tumbling helpless towards the planet, pulling up at just the last microt. She hates to fall.
With Talon, it's like flying in that storm over and over. The terror always warring with the thrill.
Whoa.
One night, it's too much, and she's crying for the first time since she was a young cadet. He's holding her, trying to help, but making it worse. And she can't stop falling.
It's all right, Xhalax, he whispered against her hair. Senseless, terrifying, treasonous words. This is real. It's all right to feel these things. I love you.
And, for a few last hours, she clings to him, memorizing the feel, taste and scent of him, before stealing away while he sleeps.
Aww. The next day, she's the perfect soldier. Uniform spotless, hair slicked back, eyes dry, when she requests an audience with her commanding officer.
Sir, I have a case of sedition to report.
Oh, no. 2. The child arrives just at the edge of the uncharted territories on a cold, sparsely populated planet.
She and Talon are alone, and apparently free after a strategic escape. Bribed and murdered techs, jammed prowler sensor codes, calculated distractions that she never really believed would work.
For a few breathless hours after Talon peeled off from his regiment's training formation, Xhalax hidden silent behind the pilot's seat, they waited with anxiety, certain someone would follow. But time and distance elapsed, and they began to taste freedom. She found it terrifying.
She sat in the cramped seat behind Talon, one hand loosely clutching the sleeve of his flight suit, so that she was connected to something outside of herself. The two of them, together and unmoored. She's always preferred the openness of space to planets, with their bulk and heavy atmosphere, But as she looked out the windows at nothing but stars punctuating the blackness, she realized how empty space is without a command carrier, a regiment of comrades.
She tightened her grip on Talon's arm, while the other hand tried to rub away the ache of fear in her swelling abdomen.
She doesn't like the planet they found, but unless she wants to give birth in the Prowler, they have no choice. They have currency and discarded their peacekeeper uniforms for nondescript clothes the first time they stopped to refuel. But people still don't trust two Sebastians in a Prowler.
Yeah.
They take shelter in an abandoned outbuilding with a partially caved-in roof. The wind rattles the rickety boards, and Xhalax is sure she's never been so cold. The temperature drops even further when the pale blue sun sets, and she thinks of a warm, clean Met Bay and wonders again if they've made a mistake.
The labour is fast, but more painful than she'd been led to believe. Neither of them knows what to do, but the infant arrives, squalling with determination, despite the inexperience of her parents.
Talon has built a small fire around which they hover, watching their tiny female offspring.
I've never seen an infant up close before, Talon says in awe, running his finger across the small head covered with a tuft of dark hair.
Me neither, she admits, laughing to cover her panic.
We can do this. She only half believes him, but leans back as he pulls her close, his lips brushing her temple. We should give her a name.
Xhalax looks at the infant in her arms, then turns to Talon with a smile. Her name is Erin.
Oh. 3. Every time she sees a group of cadets, she catches herself watching, calculating ages, looking for a child with familiar features. She was under anesthesia for the birth and never saw her offspring, but she knows it was female and believes she would recognize her. Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
What do we...
Well, none of these things actually happened, so, you know.
Oh, okay.
I think there's like this, we're having a different little continuity story here.
Interesting.
Yes. So it doesn't like, the whole story doesn't have internal continuity. I think they're just like 5 different scenarios that may or may not have happened.
Yeah, okay, well, let's stick with it. Yeah.
And one day she does. The techs have taken the Prowler Sims offline for repairs, and she's on the way back to her quarters in frustration when the cadets pass. They're about 6 or 7 cycles old, and she immediately starts scanning.
This child is quiet and serious, walking near the end of the group, observing the passing pilots. Her dark hair catches Xhalax's attention. Dark-haired cadets always do, and when the girl looks up, Xhalax sees Talon's blue-grey eyes.
A microd later, the cadets are gone down the corridor. She knows that following them could arouse suspicion. She memorizes the girl, her expression, her features. Those eyes of Talon that she hasn't seen in 4 cycles, but will never forget.
Oh, wow. She arrives at her quarters with fists clenched tight, fingernails digging 4 small bloody crescents into each palm.
The next weekend is full of strategy. She learns the cadet schedule, where they train, where they sleep. It seems safest to go while they sleep.
The corridor where the cadets... It's called 5 Things That Didn't Happen to Xhalax Sun.
Yeah.
Okay, so there, yes, it's just getting to me now. These are all scenes that could have happened, but apparently didn't.
Yes.
Okay, the corridor where the cadets bunk is dark and quiet in the middle of the sleep cycle. She slips into the room and looks down the long row of beds, dozens of cadets sleeping in neat lines. She freezes, suddenly unsure why she's executing such an absurd and dangerous plan. Cadets want to fit in. They don't want to be marked out as different. Besides, she has nothing particular to say, and she knows it would make no difference to the child anyway.
She forces herself back out of the room, caution winning out over recklessness. She's grateful for her training.
Transfer orders arrive 2 solar days later. They know what she almost did and are mercifully removing the temptation. As she flies away on the transport, she only looks back once.
4. She once asked Talon if he would die for love.
People did, she knew. She had seen them, fighting futilely for love of their miserable planets, their inept commanders, their small families.
Die for love? Talon had answered. Yes, for love of you, I would die.
Would you kill for love? She remembers the way he rolled over to look at her then, his hand brushing a strand of hair off her face.
I've certainly killed for less, he replied with a smile, and she didn't know how to explain what he really meant.
She remembers the conversation when they drag him in, already bleeding and struggling to stand. It is the first time she's seen him in 4 cycles, and when his eyes fix her, she's nearly overcome with nausea. She went looking for their daughter. She got caught. She has condemned them all through their weakness.
Xhalax, he gasps, earning a boot in the ribs.
There's no guard standing over her, no one to beat her if she speaks to him, but she has no words. She wonders if they told him what she did, if he understands why, if he could possibly forgive her. She knows she will never forgive herself.
They bring the child in next. Her wide-eyed expression betrays a little fear at the scene. The clean, dark room with guards. The mother she must recognize in chains. The father she's never seen, restrained and beaten.
Oh, no. I know where this is going. Xhalax looks at her lover and their child and is glad that she's brought their family together.
They kill the child first.
Yeah.
One clean pulse blast to the head. She doesn't make a sound. And Xhalax tries to be proud.
Talon is next, executed the same way. His eyes never leave her face, but she can't tell if the expression is love or hate.
And as the executioner approaches, she wonders what she's dying for after all.
Okay. I need to scroll back and look at this, because 5 things that never happened to Xhalax Sun. The first one is that she didn't report Talon. Mm-hmm. Right? Her life would have been very different if she'd reported them. Sir, I have a case of sedition to report. The second one is giving birth. Right, giving birth at
escaping with him. Yeah,
right,
escaping. Yes, running off with him, and going to live away from the peacekeepers.
The third one, yes,
when she didn't go to visit her at night.
She didn't not go to visit Aaron at night.
Yes,
right. And the fourth one is she didn't die for her family.
Yes,
and with her family.
What is 5 going to be?
Let's see. She went to Valdon to kill her weakness, finally and completely. But when the battle is over, her weakness has won.
Her daughter wants to save her, so she imprisons Xhalax, first on the gunship, then on a Leviathan. Aaron's friends stand guard, curious and untrusting.
People can change, Mother. It isn't too late, Aaron says.
But it is too late. Xhalax changed long ago, caught for a weak moment in a pair of blue-grey eyes, the ramifications spinning out of control, beyond all her power to undo. She already knows the terrible cost of emotion, knows that falling is one way. It's Aaron who needs to learn.
She has her chance when Aaron, Krace, and the Luxon leave the Leviathan for supplies. The insufferable Hynerian has been left as her guard, and he's no trouble at all, though she takes time to kill him more thoroughly this time. Woof!
She takes the Nabari Tralk and her know-it-all girlfriend by surprise, and they're dead before they can protest.
Who's Tiana's girlfriend?
Jewel.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Her body comes alive in this killing. Her muscles are sharp and alert, and the knife in her hand, wiped clean on the leg of her trousers, is a comfort. For a moment she wonders if enough spilled blood might yet wash away her weakness. It is an idle thought, but she cannot refight that battle. But Aaron must recognize her own weakness, must hurt if she is ever to be strong.
Crichton is in the maintenance bay, working on his primitive little ship, unsuspecting. She knows what this man is worth to the peacekeepers, but turning him in won't redeem her. Redemption is a fiction she no longer has any use for.
He doesn't hear her approach, and she's disappointed enough that at the last moment she makes a noise so that he'll turn, like Talon had turned, and look at her with the expression she's seen once before on Talon's face, of surprise, confusion, and recognition. There's no time for him to react as the knife slides cleanly between his ribs, except to grip her sleeves briefly before his fingers grow slack.
She leans against the wall of the maintenance bay and opens an artery in her wrist, a quiet death for herself. She doubts, suddenly, if her daughter will understand, but she's too tired to worry, and she thinks instead of Talon, Aaron, the price of love, and how it feels, finally, to be free.
Yikes. Okay, well, we are definitely going back and recording a little content warning for
this one.
Beginning of this episode.
Yes.
So those of you who have heard it and have joined us for this episode, this was 5 things that never happened to Xhalax Sun by pellucid, which should be, a cold comfort in this case. What a fantastic way to structure this story, though.
It is, isn't it?
To examine
different choices that she could have made, different paths she could have walked.
Right. And implying, that sort of realized realities that she could have experienced if she'd done any of these
How
decisions.
things would have gone differently.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much to Pellucid for writing 5 Things That Never Happened to Xhalax Sun. You can find that on Archive of Our Own. Linked in the show notes, as always. And thank you to Mysterytour 7 for submitting that. It was an absolute cracker.
Please join us next week for a regular episode of So Farscape.
That's right. That's what we do. Regular episodes. I'm Cocky.
I'm Kay. Bye-bye.
Zwei, zwei.